Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from the Fairgrounds Racecourse here on Saturday. It is March the 24th, 2018. It's Louisiana Derby Day from the Fairgrounds. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on the program, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. If there's races from Mars, you can expect me to look at that, and if you want those selections, like I said, you have to follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5. But it's a good week of racing all across the world. I think you have some very nice races tomorrow. Today in England started the British Flat season. There's a preview up here on YouTube for that. You can check that out. And next Saturday is the Dubai World Cup from May on. I will have a preview and selections for all those stakes races here on YouTube, so go check that out, along with the Florida Derby next week also. But today's fairground cards is it's a great card of racing. So let's get on to it. I'm going to look at all the stakes races. Those races are races 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and the featured 11th race, the Louisiana Derby. So let's get on to it, starting off with race number 2 from the fairgrounds. The second race, it's the 13th running of the Crescent City Oaks. Per $75,000, it's fillies, 3-year-olds, Louisiana breds. Field of 7 horses here going the distance of ground of 1 mile and 70 yards on the main dirt track. And I show the diagram, just gives me a second to look down at my notes, just bear with me. Let me move my notes back to in front of me. My top pick in this race, I like the number 1 horse here. Number 1, Champagne Diva. Who doesn't like champagne? I'm going to go 1762 in the superfecta. 1762 super. Top pick number 1, Champagne Diva. 8-1 here. Corey Lannery gets the leg up on the Strio filly by Tail of the Cat. This horse hasn't started in about about 7 weeks or 7-8 weeks. The most recent outing came on the 1st of February. They came at the fairgrounds on the turf course, 5.5 furlongs, an optional 30 claimer, allowance optional 30 claimer. This horse finished third by 5.5 lengths and was closing up at the end, but had a horrible beginning that day. But the turn of foot in the stretch wasn't a bad move. I think coming to dirt, where this horse has run well in the past also, around 2 turns, this horse should be running at the end. You should watch out for this one. Start before New Year's Eve at the fairgrounds, 6 furlongs in Louisiana Futurity. This horse finished 4th by 5.25 lengths. Again, didn't break all that well, closed up a tiny bit at the end, but was a little wide also. You know, this horse just has to break a little bit better. And then on the 9th of December at the fairgrounds, good going, 6 furlongs of main special weight, 41,000 for state breds. Horse won by 4.75 lengths, broke well that day, you know, was on the lead all throughout and just kept opening up. A very nice victory at 6.5-1. The 2 turns I don't think should be a problem. I don't think the layoff should be a problem. If this horse breaks correctly today, I think at 8-1 you could be making your money with this horse. You know, I would single this horse in the early pick 4, so watch out. So to recap my bets for the second from the fairgrounds, it's the 13th running of the Crescent City Oaks. Gonna go with the 1 horse Champagne Diva. Gonna go 1762 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 3 from the fairgrounds, which is one of the tricky races on the program today. The third race from the fairgrounds, it's the 8th running of the Costa Rising Stakes per $60,000. It's 4-year-olds and upwards, Louisiana breds here. Field of 15 horses, but the 15 is also eligible, so only 14 could go on the turf course, going the distance of ground of 1,100 meters, if you want to go by that, or 5.5 furlongs on the turf course. Rails out 5 feet, and why the hell is the rail out on the biggest day of the year from the fairgrounds on the turf course? Usually for the big days that you have, you know, they'll run against a hedge or the, you know, 0 rail setting. Why be out 5 feet? It's just, you know, it's kind of crazy in my head, but, you know, whatever they want to do. Like I said, this is a little bit of a tricky race. I'm going to go to the 7 horse Trust Factor, but if you're going to play the pick 4, I would go deep. I'm going to give you superfecta out. I'm going to use probably all 4 of those horses in my pick 4. I'm going to go 7-1-6-11 here. 7-1-6-11 in my super and in my pick 4, but my top pick, number 7, Trust Factor, 5-year-old horse by Patio Prado. Jose Ortiz comes in from South Florida to ride this horse. This horse had his first start of the year, the 3rd of March. That came here at the fairgrounds, 1 mile, 1,600 meters in the Poker Ace Stakes for state breds. Horse won by nose, just stalked that day, got the lead, and, you know, and ran well at the end, but that was at the end. About the quarter pole, this horse did, you know, get a little jostled around, so just keep that in mind. Start before the 9th of December at the fairgrounds, mile 16th of Louisiana turf. Horse finished 3rd by 3.5 lengths. Tracked the leaders that day and actually had the lead in the stretch, but got overtaken by the closers right at the wire. Disappointing beat, and also just keep in mind this horse didn't break that well also that day. And then the Fairgrounds opening weekend in the Mr. Sulu Stakes, oh my, this horse finished second by half a length that day, and was a little bit dueling that day, and just kind of hit the wall in the end of the race. But I do think cutting back to 5.5 should really help this horse. This horse can stalk and then have a good run at the end. It was 8-4 on this turf course, but those 4 wins are few and far between. But I like him in this race here today, sprinting. So watch out for him. So to recap my bets for the third from the Fairgrounds, it's the 8th running of the Costa Rising Stakes. Gonna go with the number 7 horse, Trust Factor. Gonna go 7-1-6-11 in the superfecta. So now we're gonna skip over race number 4. If you want race 4 selections, you're gonna have to follow me on Twitter. Remember that at Horse Racing Kit 5. And we're gonna head on to race number 5 now from the Fairgrounds, which is a stakes race. The 5th race, it's the 4th running of the New Orleans Ladies Overnight Stakes. Purse $50,000, which fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 9 horses here going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, if you want to go by that, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16 on the grass, the turf course. My top pick in this race, I like the number 3 horse here. Number 3, Desert Duchess. I'm going to go 3-9-1-5 in the superfecta. 3-9-1-5 super. Top pick number 3, Desert Duchess. 8-1. This 4-year-old filly by Hard Spun. Jose Ortiz is on this one again. I have him in the last 2 races. This horse is making his first start of the year. His most recent night came on the 30th of December at Santa Anita Park in Southern California. Mile a quarter, 2,000 meters in the Grade 1 American Oaks. Tough race. This horse finished 9th by 13 lengths. Was just tracking the leading pair that day and just kind of hit the wall around the far turn. Distance is a little bit too long, and I also think the other horses were just a little bit better. That is Little Darling had a great 27 campaign in my eyes, and in 2018 also run quite well also. But it just wasn't his day to win. Before that, at Gulfstream Park West, Calder, 1 mile, 600 meters, the 4th of November in the Cellar Shiraz Stakes. Horse won by 3 3/4 lengths that day. Was dueling a little bit that day, but got out and had a nice victory at the end, but was drifting a little bit, just keep that in mind. But other than that, it was a decent victory. And then at Kentucky Downs, yielding going 1 mile, 600 meters in a allowance race for $143,000. Just $143,000 allowance race. This horse won by 3 lengths, stalked that day, got the lead, and then took off clear. Very nice victory. That was the last time Ortiz rode this horse. This horse was running in earlier this year, last year, midpoint of 2017, this horse was running in starter allowance races and was doing okay here and there. But since that Kentucky Downs race, this horse has run pretty well, other than that outclassed race in Southern California. I do like this horse here today at 8-1, so watch out for this one. So to recap my bets for the 5th from the Fairgrounds, it's the 4th run of the New Orleans Ladies Handicap, or the New Orleans Ladies Overnight Stakes. Gonna go with the number 3 horse, Desert Duchess. Gonna go 3-9-1-5 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 6, the 6th race from the Fairgrounds. It's the 46th running of the Crescent City Derby. Per $75,000, it's for 3-year-olds, Louisiana breds here. Field of 13 horses, and this race always has a very nice field size, I must say. 13 horses going the distance of ground, 1,700 meters, or 1 mile and 1/16 on the Fairgrounds main track. Top pick in this race, I like the number 7 horse here, number 7, Gracida. I'm going to go 7-3-11-10 in the superfecta, 7-3-11-10 super. Top pick number 7, Gracida, 5-1, 3-year-old Ridgeling by Custom for Carlos. Terry Thompson comes in from Oakland to ride this Doug O'Neill trained 3-year-old Ridgeling by Custom for Carlos. This horse has only had 1 start under his belt this year. They came on the 10th of February at Delta on a sloppy go, 1 mile in the Premier Prince Stakes. This horse finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths. Had a wide post draw that day and just really never had a good run. I think second off the layoff with a little bit of a better post draw, and this horse should do a lot better. I also think the longer stretch here at the Fairgrounds should really be to this horse's liking. But you have to go for a start before. You have to go to the 4th of September at Del Mar. 7 furlongs in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. This horse finished 7th by 24 1/4 lengths. Balta Ora won, then went next start out and won a few weeks ago at Santa Anita. This horse just can catch him that day. This horse was wide, just didn't really get into it. It was a little bit too early for this horse to run in that kind of stakes race. And then the main special weight Del Mar, 5 furlongs, July 22nd. Horse won by 2 1/4 lengths, broke on top, and from a wide poster, this horse just ran incredibly well, an easy victory. Horse has been training at Oaklawn and has been training quite well. A 5-for-1 workout last Saturday in 1 minute and 2/5 of a second, and the week before a 5-for-1 workout 59 and 3/5 of a second, the second best 27. I think this horse is raring to go, and I really like him here. So he's my second best bet the card, we'll say. So watch out for him. So to recap my bets for the 6th from the fairgrounds, it's the 46th running of the Crescent City Derby. Gonna go with the 7-horse Gresita. Gonna go 7, 3, 11, 10 in the superfecta. So we're gonna skip over race number 7 now. If you want those selections, you have to follow me on Twitter, remember that. And we're going to head on to race number 8, which starts in all stakes pick 4, which is $200,000 guaranteed. But the 8th race from the fairgrounds, it's the 93rd running of the New Orleans Handicap, or the Nolans Handicap. It's a grade 2 race going for a purse of $400,000. It's for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6 horses going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or 1 1/8 on the New Orleans main track. I have a cousin that lives down in New Orleans. She's a doctor now. She went to Tulane. I wonder if she's going to the fairgrounds tomorrow. Have to go text her. But this race, the New Orleans Handicap, is it has a great history to it. In years past, you have some nice horses running it. Mineshaft won this race 2003. Went on to win, I believe, the Horse of the Year. A very underrated Horse of the Year, I think he was. People always talk about like past horses, and Mineshaft doesn't get talked about a lot. Another horse that won it, I believe, in 2004 or 5, Peace Rules, a very nice horse for Bobby Frankel, I believe, one of my favorites, won this race, and I believe Palace Malice won this race in 2014 or 2013, another very nice horse. A little underrated also, but it's always a great race. This year I think you have a very nice horse running in it. My top pick, the 5-horse Good Samaritan, I think he'll run well, to the point of I'm going to single him into the Salt Stakes pick 4. I'm going to go 5-1-3-6 in the superfecta, though. 5-1-3-6 super. My top pick in a single in the pick 4, the 5-horse Good Samaritan. 8-5 here. Belmont Trains has won this 4-year-old colt by Harlan's Holiday. Joel Rosario getting the leg up on this one. Most recently, this horse had to start the 24th of November. That came at Churchill, mile 8th in the Clark Handicap. This horse finished second by a half length and just had not the best of trips that day. Was way out of it early, but was closing up like an express train at the end. Just missed, but it wasn't a bad outing. But this horse was a little bit too far back that day and didn't have the best of trips. But it wasn't a bad second place finish. Before that, the 7th of October here in New York at Belmont, mile and a quarter in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. This horse finished 4th by 7.5 lengths that day. Sat towards the back of the pack, and the mile and a quarter races at Belmont tend to be more towards speed horses, and Diversify proved it. He had a great race. This horse just really didn't show up that day. And then the Travers at Saratoga, mile and a quarter, the 26th of August. Horse finished 5th by 9 lengths. West Coast ran a great race. This horse went off as the favorite. West Coast, I believe, was the second choice, but this horse, he just was way too out of it early. Was closing up at the end, but it wasn't enough to win. But his start before at Saratoga was an incredible run. I came a mile and 8th in the Jim Dandy. This horse won by 4 3/4 lengths, and I played about, this summer at Saratoga was a weird summer for me. I bet 5 times, and I won 3 out of those times. But the last horse I bet at Saratoga was this horse, and I had about $40 to win on him, which for me is about, $40 to me is about $400 to a normal person. Well, when you're a broke college student, But I remember watching this race with my old man, and he says, "Well, you lost $40 going down the backstretch," and I said, "No, just wait for him, see if he'll close up." And around the far turn, I'm like, "Yeah, I think I might have lost $40." But at the top of the stretch, about the 8th pole, when he was coming, I'm like, "Oh shit, I might make out with some good money." And he won, and he had a great turn of foot at 8-1. A great closing kick, beating a very tough Jim Dandyfield this year. Great, turn of foot for his first start outing, an all-around great race. And then before then, the Belmont Derby at Belmont, Mount Quarter, July the 8th. This horse finished fourth by 3 lengths. Inner turf course at Belmont, like I said about the main track Mount Quarter races, and the inner turf course could be the same also, tends to be more towards speed horses. This horse really never got into it. A little closing at the end, but it wasn't enough to win. Oscar Performance was on the lead all throughout and just ran a hell of a race. And then before that, in the prep for that race in the Pennine Ridge, Mount 8th at Belmont during the Belmont Stakes Festival weekend. This horse finished second by 1.5 lengths. Again, Oscar Performance on a lead all throughout, easy victory. This horse just closed up a little bit at the end, but it wasn't enough to win. But I do like this horse here at this distance. I think he should run well. Watch out for him. So to recap my bets for the 8th from the fairgrounds, it's the 93rd running of the Grade 2 New Orleans Handicap. Gonna go with the 5-horse Good Samaritan. Gonna go 5-1-3-6 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 9 from the fairgrounds. The 9th race, it's the 26th running of the Muniz Memorial Handicap. Grade 2 purse $300,000. It's for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 11 horses here, going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or about 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf course. Rails at 5 feet, so just keep that in mind. Top pick in this race, I like the number 1 horse here. Number 1, Synchrony. Hopefully I said that right. I'm going to go 111.94 in the superfecta. 111.94 super. Top pick number 1, Synchrony. 7-2. 5-year-old horse by Tappet. Joe Bravo gets the leg up on this one. This horse's most recent outing came about 5 weeks ago now. The 17th of February here at the fairgrounds. Mile 8th in the fairgrounds handicap. This horse won by 2 lengths that day and was basically last for most of the race up until the quarter pole. But this horse that day had a great turn of foot at the end, and just had a great turn of foot and closed up well. A very nice victory, winning by 2 lengths. And according to the running line, he didn't look that wide at the stretch at the top of the lane, but according to the running line, he was 7 wide. But it was an all-around great race off a very long layoff, I must say. Also, start before the 27th of May at Monmouth, 1 mile 600 meters in the Grade 3 Red Bank. This horse finished second by 2.25 lengths that day, and just at about mid-pack most of the race. Closed up a little bit at the end, but it wasn't enough to win. And then the Henry Clark of Laurel, 1 mile and yielding ground on the 22nd of April. Horse finished second by half length. Closed up well from the back of the pack, just missed, but it wasn't a bad run. Ascend, who won next start out, who won that day, just ran a little bit of a better run, but it wasn't a bad run. This horse is a closer, and I do think he should run well. But just to keep in mind with this race, there's not a lot of speed in it. I'm trying to figure out who's going to go to the front and out in this race. My guess is with this one, we'll probably, if a horse goes to the front end, it's probably going to be the 9-horse Forge. Maybe Ring Weekend will stalk him, but I highly doubt Ring Weekend will be that close. But I have a feeling Forge will be towards the front of the pack, so it's a race that lacks a little bit of speed. But I do think Synchrony can close up well in this race, so I'll use him here. And this kind of race, I think you might want to go a little deeper, since I'm singling in a few legs of in the first leg of the pick 4. I'm gonna go a little deep in this race, and I'm gonna go 4 deep with the 111.94 for my pick 4. So to recap my bets for the 9th from the fairgrounds, it's the Grade 2 26th running of the Muniz Memorial Handicap. Gonna go with the 1-horse Synchrony. Gonna go 111.94 in the superfecta. 111.94 for me in my pick 4 also. So now let's get on to race number 10 from the fairgrounds. The 10th race, it's the 51st running of the Fairgrounds Oaks Grade 2 race, going for a purse of $400,000. It's for Phillies 3-year-olds here. Field of 9 horses, going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or 1 mile and 1/16 on the main track. My top pick in this race, feel like Gary Delabate. If you ever anybody watches Howard Stern or listens to Howard Stern, Howard hates when Gary goes, and every time I do that, it always reminds me of Gary. But if you hate it, pardon that. But my top pick here in the Fairgrounds Oaks, I like the number 8 horse here, number 8, Wonder Get It. I'm going to go 8-5-1-7 in the superfecta, 8-5-1-7 super. My top pick, and I'm probably going to single the 8 horse, Wonder Get It. 3-1 here, 3-year-old filly by Medaglia d'Oro, Britain, Ontario. So you'll probably see this horse in the Woodbine Oaks later in the year, and possibly the and possibly the what's that race? The Queen's Plate. Also, if they want to go for that, Jean Velasquez is on this one from Arcasi. Most recently, his horse had to start 17th of February at the Fairgrounds, mile 16th in the Grade 2 Rachel Alexander Stakes. His horse finished third by 2 3/4 lengths, sat third most of the race, and just couldn't get a good closing kick that day at the end. Just wasn't her day to win. Before that, in the Silver Bullet Day here at the Fairgrounds, mile 70 to 13th of January, his horse finished second by a neck, and just sat second most of the race. Again, just really couldn't get a good closing kick at the end. But before that, in the Demoiselle here in New York at Aqueduct, mile 8th, this horse won by 3 3/4 lengths, stopped early, got the lead, and took off clear. Very nice victory for this horse's second start on dirt. First start on dirt came in the Breeders' Cup Filly juvenile fillies race. This horse finished sixth by 5 3/4 lengths and had a horrible post run. Really just never got there. But that Demoiselle race was very good. I think coming here again, third race here at the fairgrounds, getting accustomed to the surface, I do think this horse should run well. 3-1, watch out for this one. But I do think this horse, just looking towards the end of the year, towards the mid part of the year, I do think this horse will probably do very well at Woodbine during the Woodbine Oaks and in the Queen's Plate. If you want my selection right now for those races, it's probably going to be Wonder Godot. Let's see what the bookmakers are offering for that odds. But to recap my bets for the 10th race from the fairgrounds, it's the 51st running of the Fairgrounds Oaks. Gonna go with an 8-horse Wonder Godot. Gonna go 8-5-1-7 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 11 from the fairgrounds, which is the feature race that everybody's been looking forward to. The 11th race is the 105th running of the Louisiana Derby. Grade 2 race going for a purse of $1 million. It's for 3-year-olds here. Field of 10 horses going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters or 1 mile and 1/8 on the fairgrounds main track. My top pick in this race, bit of a wide open race, I must say. I'm gonna give you, three horses that I think can win. But my top pick, I like the 4-horse. Give me a minute. Hopefully I said that right. I'm gonna go 4-1-2-7-9. I'm gonna give you my top 5 for this race. 4-1-2-7-9. Like I said, I'm going to go 3 deep in the pick 4. I'm going to use the 4-1-2. The first horse I'll be talking about is my top pick, the 4-horse. Give me a minute. 20-1, 3-year-old colt by Star Guitar. Javier Castellano gets on this one. Dallas Stewart had the option to probably run this horse in the Crescent City Derby because he is Louisiana bred, but they chose this race, and I do think with this race, with a lot of speed in this one, he can get a good closing kick to run it up in this one. Also, just a bit of a fact off subject. The Louisiana Derby used to be known as the Crescent City Derby many years ago. That's your fact of the day. But back to this horse. Give me a minute. His most recent outing came in the Risen Star, mile 16th at the fairgrounds 5 weeks ago. He finished 8th by 10 lengths, and the closest he was to the lead was 8 3/4 lengths at the quarter pole. He just had a horrible break that day and just really never could get into the race. Since then, he's had a rider change to Javier Castellano, which I think should really be wonders for this horse. But before that, he broke his maiden before that at the fairgrounds. 6 furlongs on a good but sealed to go. January 28th, main special weight. He won by 8 lengths. He was running in stakes races before that, but it was close, but never won. They took him to that maiden special weight. He won by 8 lengths, was 5 cents to the dollar, and he just destroyed the field. Very nice, easy victory. Before that, he ran Louisiana Futurity, where he finished second by a neck. He closed up well. He just missed at the end, but it wasn't a bad move that day. And then the Kentucky Jockey Club. This horse had a disaster trip. He finished 8th by 9 3/4 lengths, and really, it just wasn't as, the best of trips that day, and really couldn't recover. But he is a closer. He closed well in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He finished 4th by 13.5 lengths. I know it was a wide margin, but he was coming up at the ends after not the best trips that day. And then before that, he finished 5th in the Breeders' Futurity. That race, it wasn't very good. You could throw that race out, but he finished 3rd in the Hopeful and all-out finished. He is a closer. He'll see a good pace to close up with us today. And if he breaks well and has a clear trip, you should watch him at the end. 20-1. Watch out for this one. This horse could be your Dallas Stewart second-place finisher in the Kentucky Derby if he gets enough points to get in. But watch out for this one here today. Another horse I want to talk about is the 1-horse Bravazzo. 7-2. Dwayne Lucas sends this one in for Calumet Farm. Gary Stevens gets leg up on this awesome again. side 3-year Colts. This horse ran the Risen Star and won it last 5 weeks ago by a nose. He stalked that day, and he just got the nose in front at the end. Decent race victory for this horse, but if he wants to win today, he's gonna have to slow it down on the front end. If he slows it down, I do think he get the victory. But before that, he won very nicely at Oaklawn, winning by a neck from coming from quite far out of it at the beginning. But great victory. And then he had another disaster trip in the Kentucky Jockey Club. He finished 10th. Really never got into it. But if he slows it down on the front end, I do think he can get the victory. So watch out for him. And then number 2 horse, Noble Indy. I had backed him a few weeks ago in the Risen Star Raid. He finished third by 2 lengths. He had a slight move, but it wasn't the best runs, and he had a horrible break. But that was his first start on the fairground surface. Hopefully he was accustomed to it, and I do think he can get a good closing kick from just stalking the pace setters. Before that, he won his first 2 starts very easily. I like him here, so watch out for him also. But to recap my bets for the 11th from the fairgrounds now, it's the 105th running of the Grade 2 $1 million Louisiana Derby. I'm going to go with my top pick, the 4 horse. Give me a minute. I'm going to go 4-1-2-7-9 in my super high 5 for this race if they're even offering it. But that's my top 5 for this race, basically. 4-1-2-7-9. My pick 4 wager, I'm going to go 4-1-2. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everyone.